Someone asks for your Instagram. You don't have one. They look at you like you just said you don't have electricity. Wait. Like nothing, not even Facebook. No Instagram, no TikTok, no Twitter, no Snapchat. They ask if you're okay, if something happened, if you're in hiding, and you're like, no, I just don't use it. They stare at you like you're a time traveler from 2005. So what's actually going on? Why do billions of people scroll for hours every day while you completely opted out? Let's break down psychology of people who deleted social media or never joined in the first place. Number 1. You realized FOMO is a business model. Fear of missing out kept you scrolling. Everyone at parties you weren't invited to. Everyone achieving things you hadn't achieved. Everyone living lives that looked better than yours. And for a long time it worked, until you realized something uncomfortable. You weren't missing out on life. You were missing out on performances of life. Psychologist Leon Festinger called it social comparison theory. We evaluate ourselves by comparing to others. And social media is comparison on steroids. Everyone's life looks better than yours because everyone's curating the best 1% and hiding the other 99%. That party that looked amazing. Half the people were on their phones. That achievement, they're probably stressed and struggling too. That perfect relationship, they had a massive fight an hour before that photo. Psychologist Andrew Piazzi-Bilski found that FOMO is highest in people who feel less satisfied with their own lives. Social media doesn't create FOMO, it exploits it. So when you quit, FOMO lost its power. Because you're not comparing anymore. You're not watching everyone else's highlight reel. You're just living. And it turns out, life is pretty okay when you stop measuring it against curated fiction. You didn't overcome FOMO. You just removed the mechanism that was weaponizing it against you. Number 2, you saw the mental math and refused to play. Every post comes with a calculation. Will this get enough likes? Will people think I'm successful? Will this make me look interesting enough? And if it underperforms? It doesn't feel like data. It feels like rejection. You watch this happen to people you care about. A photo gets 50 likes instead of 200, and suddenly their entire mood changes. Research consistently links engagement-based validation to higher anxiety and depression, because when your worth is measured publicly, silence feels like failure. You didn't opt out because you're superior. You opted out because you noticed the game is rigged. The algorithm profits from insecurity, so you decided your confidence didn't need to be crowdsourced, that your sense of self could exist without a thumbs up from 200 people. And the freedom that comes from that, it's something most people scrolling right now can't even imagine. Number 3, you realized social media is designed to exploit you. Here's what you figured out that most people haven't. Social media platforms aren't free services. You're not the customer, you're the product. Companies pay billions for your attention, and every feature, every notification, every infinite scroll is engineered to keep you there longer. Computer scientist Jaron Lanier explains that social media operates on behavioral modification principles, the same techniques casinos use to keep people gambling: variable rewards, near misses, unpredictable dopamine hits. Psychologist BJ Fogg literally teaches tech companies how to build habit-forming products at Stanford. You're not anti-technology, you're anti-manipulation. You saw the strings and you refused to be the puppet. While everyone else is getting their dopamine drip-fed by algorithms, you've opted out of being a lab rat in the world's largest behavioral experiment. Number 4. You stopped letting other people live in your head. Psychologists distinguish between public self-consciousness and private self-consciousness. Public is, what do others think of me? Private is, what do I think of me? Most of social media is public. Every post, every story, every share is asking for external validation. You've chosen private. When you experience something, your first thought isn't, how will this look? It's, how do I feel about this? And that shift changes everything. When you're not performing for an audience, you can be honest with yourself. You can have opinions that aren't popular. You can like things that aren't cool. You can be messy, uncertain, complicated. All the things that don't photograph well. And those parts of you, they're not less valuable because they're not shareable. They're actually more valuable because they're real. You've built an identity that exists independent of anyone's opinion. And in a world where most people are constantly seeking validation, your self-awareness is quietly powerful. Number 5, you discovered real friends don't need a feed. When you left social media, something strange happened. About 90% of your friends disappeared, and you barely noticed because they weren't friends, they were an audience. The ones who stayed, they text, they call, they show up. Psychologist Sherry Turkle calls this the illusion of connection. Being surrounded by interaction but starving for intimacy. You chose depth over visibility. You'd rather know what's happening in 5 people's lives than scroll past updates from 500 you don't actually care about. And here's the irony, your real friends know more about you now than when you posted daily, because you tell them, not through highlights, through conversations. You didn't lose friends, you stopped confusing spectators with community. Number 6. You refuse to turn your life into content. Studies show that about 40% of social media users are what researchers call lurkers, people who scroll, watch stories, see posts, but never share anything themselves. And that term sounds creepy, but it's actually the opposite. It's intentional. You're engaging on your terms, taking in information without feeling obligated to contribute. You consume YouTube videos, read articles, watch content. But you don't feel the need to broadcast your own life in return. This isn't antisocial behavior, it's boundary setting. You've separated consumption from performance. You can enjoy content without needing to create it. And that distinction is important because it means you're controlling your relationship with technology instead of letting it control you. While others feel pressure to post, to stay relevant, to prove they exist, you're over here just existing. And the mental freedom that comes from not owing the internet a performance, that's a privilege most people don't even realize they've given up. Number 7, you value privacy in an age of surveillance capitalism. You're not paranoid. You're informed. You know that every post, every like, every search is being tracked, analyzed, and sold. Your data is being used to manipulate your behavior, your purchases, your beliefs, your votes, and you're not okay with that. Sociologist Shoshana Zuboff calls it surveillance capitalism, your private life as raw material for corporate profit. You read the terms of service that nobody else reads. You understand that nothing is ever truly deleted. That facial recognition is cataloging your face, that your location is being tracked, that your private messages are being scanned, and you looked at that trade-off, convenience for privacy, and decided it wasn't worth it. While everyone else handed over their entire lives to corporations, you drew a boundary. Not because you have something to hide, but because you have something to protect, your right to exist without being commodified. And in 2026, that's a radical act.